Are you all well seated?
Yes.
Because we are going to travel through watchmaking, music, and nature. Ready? Let's start. I have here in my hands a musical box from Renaud, the famous Swiss manufacturer, taken out from the box. If I turn it on, it sounds like this. Can you hear it? But a little bit? No. Yes, some say yes in the front. And this is resonance spruce. It's the wood used for the most famous musical instruments. And if I put it on it, do you hear it? It's not only louder, it's warmer, clearer, maybe more touching. This is the magic of the resonance spruce, and this is why it has been selected for making the most beautiful musical instruments. It's in the heart of our profession, building stringed musical instruments. I'm born in the Valley de Jude, where Breguet lies. It's a valley next to Geneva in the mountains, a little bit like your highlands in Scotland. It's very cold. Nothing can grow except stones and some poor trees. But we have a treasure. We have green gold. Because there is the biggest forest of Europe in one part. And it is famous for incredible woods for musical instruments. Even Stradivarius had woods coming from this forest. You may be heard of Cremona and the famous violin makers. They go into the Val di Fiemme to get this wood. Some others go to Republic Czech or others to Germany. But in the Valley de Jude, the winters are so long and so cold and the summers so dry that those trees are very special because they grow so slowly that you need sometimes even a glass to count the veins of this spruce. So we have to wait 350 years that such a spruce is able to come and build a musical instrument. This Valley de Jude is famous for the watchmaking. You know Breguet is based there. It's very special. There are about 6,000 inhabitants, but I'm sure there are more patents than inhabitants. Why? Because it's a question of survival. We had to survive, nothing grows. So people had to invent. And because they were linked to the nature, because nature meant survival or not, they had to invent. This is how the watchmaking is made there, and this is how we made also the musical instruments. Many years ago, I had the great privilege to work for Breguet. But when I met my new neighbor, I found a man which was passionate about, in his workshop, about musical instruments and building guitars. He was passionate, innovative, but alone and unknown. I had the impression I found another Abraham Louis Breguet 300 years later. And when he said, "Do you want to help me?" I said, "Yes, of course." And this is how, 6 months later, I was exhibiting in Asia to sell incredible guitars made in the Valley de Jude. But when you work with an artist, an inventor, you don't follow the business plan. So quickly after building guitars, he wanted to do other things. And this is how we invented the resonance plates or stand for minute repeater watches for Breguet and many other watches. And later, we made loudspeaker, exactly in the same way that you build a guitar or a violin or a piano. What does watchmaking, guitars, and loudspeaker have in common? Resonance spruce. This exceptional tree, 350 years. To be a resonance spruce, it has to be absolutely perfect. No knots. It has to grow in a comb, not on a mountain. It has, during 350 years, not been attacked by insects, nor other animals or humans. It has received enough sunshine, but not too much wind. In the end, there are hundreds of criteria to find one wood which would be good. It's 1 out of 10,000 which is good to make a musical instrument. So to find this special tree, we had the help of a tree gatherer. This man had huge hands like tools. He could not stand straight, but he was quicker than a fox because he was there and he was not there anymore. At over 80 years old, he was still climbing on a tree like a squirrel in order to cut the branches, so by coming down, the tree would not hurt the other trees around. He had so much respect. Every time he was in the forest, he had a little axe in his back, and everywhere he was walking, he was cutting the trees, always not straight, but a little bit de biais, like this, square, so that they would drop on the floor and not against the trunk. At the springtime, like now, he would go into the forest and take away some snow. We still have snow. Take away some snow from the little trees to make them straight and put a branch next to them, and he would say, look, this one is maybe 50 years old. He may be good in 300 years. To work with somebody with that incredible attitude, it's a blessing. And this is what inspired us in all our work. Even today, when we want to cut or to gather one tree, we will take care that it's done in good season, in the autumn, when the water has come back to the ground. We take care of the moon. It has to be descending. It's less to do if it's big or not, but it's really the position on the horizon. It's when the moon, because the moon is turning around the earth, but not on a perfect circle, but on an oval. And sometimes the moon is closer, it's at the zenith here, or it's far away. And when it's far away, it doesn't attract the water as much. This is what we are looking for. That means the wood will be at the driest. Maybe you have heard of the famous watch, The Equation of Time by Breguet. This watch shows us which days, if our time, our human time, we are in advance or backwards compared to the sun time. And 4 times a year, it's the exact good time. But it's another topic, I'm sure you're going to explain it much better. Anyway, so we will look at this specific date. It's 1 day per year where it's the best date. We have tested it. Once we took a piece of wood, we took a wood when the moon was here at the zenith. This wood was beautiful, but it was heavy. And even after many years drying in our workshop, it was still heavy, and it would never, never be installed on a musical instrument. So to cut such a tree, the forces will prepare the place. They will take away the stones, put branches, in order really to receive this tree as delicate as possible. And then we cut it into quarters and we let it dry. 5 years for a guitar, 10 years for a violin, 20 years for a cello, and up to 50 years for a double bass. Can you imagine 50 years? Some past times, the instrument builder was cutting one tree and putting into the stock for the grandchild once he would be as well an adult and building instruments. This is why we say in Switzerland we have gold in our banks. It's maybe not a good topic at the time, but we have green gold as well. This is the green gold that we stock and we take care for many, many years, and this is like a treasure that we will pass on the next generations. I told you I founded this company maybe 20 years ago. We were together with the luthier, and there was a third one, the finance guy. So we were 3 founders, very important finance person. One day, he came to a meeting with a list of stock and said to the luthier, "Hey, Jean-Michel, I see we have 350 soundboards for violins in stock. But I told you, we were building guitars, audio systems, and stands for watches, but no violins. And this finance guy continued and said, look, it takes a huge space, it's a huge risk, and it's a lot of money. You have to sell this stock. The luthier, the inventor, said, oh, no way. I know each of these trees. They are mine. I don't want to sell them. But the finance guy is somebody very tough. So at every meeting, he came with the same question. Hey, Jean-Michel, did you sell this wood? And he said, yes, or no. He didn't want it. In the end, under the pressure of the finance guy, he said, okay, let's use it. Because with the time, we have noticed, I spoke from 20 years ago, we had the CDs. But today, we have often our music here. But the music here is not that good because we have such a small loudspeaker. And so he had an idea. Why not using this exceptional wood that transforms sound into music? We heard it previously. Not only louder, but warmer, preciser, more beautiful. To use it for this. And so we invented the quadra. This specific shape would have done a violin because we would have cut it in two, opened it, re-glued it, and sculpted the top of a violin. Instead of it, we are using this incredible wood and quality to augment the volume of the sound from a phone and also to give more warmth. So let's test it. Let's listen to a Swiss singer, Bastian Baker. Oh, sorry.
Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and he pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you?
Now if I take away, we can hear the difference.
It goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah.
So this is what a luthier does in the 21st century, transforming sound into music, using the incredibly wood, which is alive, in order not only to amplify, but also to give this warmth, yeah, exactly, the presence, the emotion of the music. For the story, the luthier thought, we're going to sell some pieces and then the finance guy will forget me. We sold the 300 pieces into 4 months. And then he had to run and to find again more wood. We were even approached by Apple, but they wanted us to produce 100,000 a year to finance the stock. And we have calculated the volume. It would have filled maybe the Lake de Jude. So it's another business model. We had to say no, but it's another question. Doing this, we have developed by the guitars, but also other type of loudspeakers. What you see here, it's a loudspeaker made out of tone wood. It is called soundboard because it's like the sounding board of a guitar or a violin. There is no loudspeaker behind. It's really the vibration of this wood, exactly like the mechanism did before, that will create the music. And in the end, afterwards, when we are going to stand up, you will be able to come and touch it to really feel the vibration. I know it's hard to believe that there is no loudspeaker in the back, but I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to connect here. So we have an amplifier. It's Cambridge. I choose it because I love the English creation here of Cambridge. And there are the two cables, left and right. Even if you see only one, you have left and right that will go in. Before we had, thank you very much for the playing of the pianist, we had the piano playing, and you could hear it everywhere. You didn't need two pianos. But for loudspeakers, somehow, we wanted to have two because you have to sit in the middle and then you know you have the best place. And I'm sure at home, you men, you know where to sit. And as a women, we know that we have to sit not on that space. Is it a topic at home? Yes? No? Sometimes no. Okay. With a loudspeaker, you have to have a special place where you have the best sound because two loudspeakers create a wave that will merge. But a musical instrument has another type of wave. It emits. This is why you can have only one, as you can hear it everywhere. We listened to it in the shop also yesterday, and even downstairs people could hear it like if somebody was playing here. Instead of talking, we are going to listen to it. I'm just connecting to the device. We are on, and what are we going to listen? This. He's almost here playing, huh? Yeah, but let's test with the voice. With Anne-Sophie Van Otter. She's here. And if we decrease the sound because you have people at home, we hear every detail. And I don't need to shout to speak. And if you're close, you hear it. If you're far away, even there on the other side, they hear it. Because it's a true musical instrument, which is playing the music. I have never seen a violin in carton, whereas a loudspeaker is carton. Let's test something else, where there is no wood. Bowls and cymbals. It doesn't sound wood. They're almost here. Let's change. Double bass.
We meet and the angels sing, the angels sing the sweetest song I ever heard. You speak and the angels sing, into every word. Suddenly, the setting is strange. I can see water and moonlight beaming, silver waves that break on some undiscovered shore. Then suddenly, I see it all change. Long winter nights with the candles gleaming, through it all your face that I adore.
Something very actual.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to me to go over everything. They say the time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. Hello, can you hear me? I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be when we were younger and free. I've forgotten how it felt before the world fell at our feet. There's such a difference between us and a million miles. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. But when I call, you never seem to be home. Hello from the outside.
This is what a luthier does in the 21st century, transforming sound into music. It's another taste, huh? And it's because it is natural, it's alive, wood is still alive. And we are combining techniques that are 100 years old together with actual techniques, because you don't see it here. What we hear, it's like the skin of this wood. Can you feel it? And we enlighten this wood and integrate it. This is Nomex. It's a honeycomb. It's also from the nature inspired in Nomex. It's very light and very resistant. It's what is used, for instance, for Alinghi, the boat, who won America's Cup. So we combine what you know from the best of the techniques together with actual technology. It's the same for watchmaking. It's the same kind of love. When you see such a mechanical watch done by Breguet, there are 500, 800 pieces. Hundreds of pair of eyes have looked into those watches and those pieces. And hundreds of hands have touched them. And hearts have really put the best of them. They have decorated every piece in it, even the ones you will never see. The smallest piece, the dard, which you can see only under the microscope, even this one is decorated. It's a question of attitude, of respect, of beauty, of passion. So I told you we are making guitars, loudspeaker, but we are also linked to the watchmakers, because the watch can become the musician. And this is how we build, in the same way than this loudspeaker. This could be a resonance plate or a smaller loudspeaker where your watch, the minute repeater, can become the musician. And for this, I would be happy if you could come to show us your wonderful watches.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Hard act to follow, Celine. Thank you so much. What wonderful sounds we heard tonight. I think these products are absolutely amazing. And really, the reason that we're very interested in them as a watchmaker is they complement so much what we do. When you have a beautiful repeating watch or musical watch, something like this can really help enhance your enjoyment and pleasure of it. Hopefully I can demonstrate that to you very shortly. I wanted to tell you we're going to demonstrate two different types of watches right now for you. The first type is a minute repeater. Minute repeaters are very important to us, particularly at Breguet. Breguet invented an element of the watch called the gong spring in 1783. It was his second big invention, and what Breguet set out to do was enhance the watch, enhance the musicality and the tone available to people buying a high quality Breguet watch. Prior to Breguet's invention of the gong spring, watches were able to repeat, but they would do it in such a way that they tapped on the case. And if you can imagine a tap, 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 it wasn't a very pretty sound, it wasn't a very attractive thing to own, and here it wasn't very Breguet, so it wasn't good enough for him. Also, the watches that did ring and sound had a series of bells inside, so they were very thick and they're very impractical to carry around with you. You might think, why would you need a watch to ring and sound at the time? But if you consider what life would have been like in 1783 when Breguet invented the gong spring, there would have been no electricity or electric light, and it would have been very difficult to tell the time after dark. So this was a very important invention of its day. Today it stands as one of the most prestigious and high level of complications that we have. We have a very small number of watchmakers that work on these watches at Breguet. It's a very small room and it's a very specialist product. So I'm going to demonstrate that to you now. The minute repeater. You'll hear a series of rings. The first series of rings will be the number of hours. Then you'll have the quarters past the hour. Then you will have the minutes past the quarter. They're not set to time. I've set it to a time, so we're going to get the maximum number of rings. So you'll find it's 11 something by the clock. But you're going to hear those now.
You don't tell us, and you have to count, and then we see who wins, who gets it.
Please count. And I'm going to demonstrate. I will demonstrate this on the sound element that we have here. What do you call this one?
This is the métronome du réseau. This is the plate and the orb. Which one would you like to start with? This
one?
one?
We're going to demonstrate it on the metronome. And what I'm going to do is, we also have a second watch, and I'm going to let you listen to the second watch with and without. But this one we're just going to play to its best on the metronome.
All right. So we find again the same wood, the same spruce, same techniques. Do you do it without and then on it?
Yeah, I'll do it without.
Yeah.
I'm just going to set the time so it's very best. So
if it's 1 o'clock, we won't hear.
Yeah, 1 o'clock isn't a great show, It's going to be over pretty quickly. But please listen to the sound without. You might find it a little harder at the back. It's made for personal use. So here we go. There's a prize for the person who guesses the right time on that. Any guesses?
How much? What time is it? 11, 3/4, and 11 minutes. So it is 11:56.
11:56. Perfect. Well done.
Yeah.
Well counted from the Breguet representation. We're going to have a listen to the same watch on the metronome, and hopefully you'll hear the different tonality and more volume. Fantastic. So
one more minute, huh?
there we go. We've got another minute.
Here it's we have augmented by 3 or 4 the volume of the watch, which is incredible because it's so thin. Of course, those watches were made previously. They were pocket watches, and because now we wear them on the wrist, they are smaller. So we decrease the volume effect. They are made with more raw material that sound less, but they are better, and they are usually waterproof or humidity proof. And this is everything that as a luthier we hate. And this is how we accompany also some of your engineers in order to rethink how we as luthier are building a musical instrument, and how can we create such a watch integrating some thoughts that would be on a musical instrument. And here the idea is to play with a true musical instrument, to play with your watch.
So this was, the minute repeater is looking back to the Breguet of the 1700s. Today I present to you from Breguet of today, the Musicale watch that we have in our collection. A very special piece. This piece is capable of playing a piece of music by Rossini. It's known as the Thieving Magpie. It's a very special piece. I don't think there's another watchmaker that makes a musical watch in this way. It's a combination between a music box and a watch. Something for your wrist, a personal item that's very amazing. There's some amazing technology inside this watch that Breguet would have been very proud of. We put magnets inside to try and disturb the music of the watch as little as possible. And I'm going to demonstrate it to you now. It plays for a number of seconds, so I'll demonstrate it off the item, and then I'll place it onto it.
On the orbe musicale. Orbe, it's the river that crosses the Vallée de Joux and makes like waves like this, and you will find again those waves that are creating an opening also so that the music comes out.
Okay, so to Rossini, here we go.
Because I don't hear it. Can you do it again?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I think you did not hear to the end. If I take it off, you don't hear it.
So, a charming watch that's really enhanced, but you can see by the item, the orb, that really brings the best of the tonality out of the watch. We're limited to what we can do in terms of the watch. As Celine suggested, it must stay on your wrist, it must be waterproof, it must tell the time, you know, there's many different constraints. To make a watch that does this is exceptional, and it's a lovely personal item. To be able to demonstrate it to its best with the use of the orb is a special moment for us as well. So it's been a pleasure to introduce these two musical items to you. We have more watches to show to you over the course of dinner. We can have a play with these, and you can enjoy them and play with them and listen to the sounds yourself and on your person. So thank you. It's been a pleasure to show them to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any question at this stage?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
You described the English amplifier.
Yeah.
2 wires coming out, going to the speaker.
Yeah.
There must be a transducer on each side. You can't just put wires into wood.
Exactly. There are 8 transducer, so they are like they are big. This is the size of the transducer that activates, that receives the electric signal and emits a vibration. It's exactly the same than a string that would be pulled by the guitar or the archet of the violin player. Exactly. And there are not only 1, but there are 8. Why? 4 for the right channel, 4 for the left. And then we have played with it, and thank you for asking this. There are 2 for high tones, 2 for middle tones, and 4 for basses. So it's like a traditional 3-way loudspeaker that we have here. And it's a double loudspeaker. And here again we combine what we know in lutherie. The basses are glued on a bridge The bridge is what on the violin receives the strings and the vibrations and give it to the top. And they are oriented to the center because basses need vibration, need movement. So they are here in the center because they can move deeper. Whereas high tones, they need quickness because they are very quick. So we orient them to the external part of the board so they can go quicker. So it's really the coming together of what we know of building a loudspeaker with what we know of building a piano, a guitar, a violin. It's really the coming together. Absolutely, thank you.
It's nice to have a loudspeaker that you polish rather than dust. It's all what you have to dust.
Yeah, and usually it's fixed on the wall. Here we didn't want it to make holes yet into the walls here, but usually you fix it on the wall, and you can also have a specific color if you wish. This is the violin one. You can have it clearer. You can even have paintings on it which respect the sound. Yes, please, madam.
Actually, that's what I was going to ask.
Oh, I'm going to show you if you wish.
Sizes or colours or specs?
This is the best size because shorter you don't have enough basses that can emit. And in fact, it's based on the golden section. In centimeters, it is 89, whereas the suspension, because it's suspended, because we don't want to hear the wall, I don't want my neighbors needed to hear it, it is on 55, and everything, the bracings, the arch, everything is linked to this golden section. But we don't start when we build by saying, we need the golden section. We do it. Once we are there, we think, okay, now we can measure it. And we find out that it's on the golden section, which means it's the best and it functions. Exactly. In the collection, they have also a model which is a bit smaller, but then you need two, and the bass box, because you don't have the basses. Yeah. And I'm going to show you about the colors with pleasure. We have the possibility, and when I say we, in fact, I transmitted the company to 5 companies 3 years ago. So this company is named Excelson. These ones is Bodenman. They are also next to Breguet in the Vallée de Joux, and they are all linked together. Can you see it? And these are inks that are extremely thin to respect the vibration, so they don't withhold the vibration. The best instrument would be without a color, but we need to put type of, it's not an oil, but a type of varnish in order to protect. On a guitar or on a violin, it's also only the outside which receives the varnish. Here we'll have the 2 sides of the soundboard that is protected. This is another type. Do you have other questions? I was going to find a picture of the tree gatherer, which is, can you see him? You can notice the hand, how big it is compared to his face. He was he was strong like nature. There was a film that was made on him. He was also in Asia. He was filmed and pictured everywhere. But there's a film. He was over 80 and he was climbing on a tree. It's 40 meters. He was almost at the top and cut. The whole branch is coming down. Not going up, but going down. He was cutting all the branches. And in the end, he said when he came back, I took the time. But if we want to live, we need to take the time because we don't need to cut the wrong branch. Very touching. Do you have other questions?
Yes.
Yes, please.
You show that as a horizontal mount, so one would imagine that hanging on a wall like a picture.
Yeah.
Can it also be ceiling mount?
It's not intended so. There are 2 reasons for this. First, those vibrators, how you said, those activators, they give a better movement when they are like this. Like this, they will give their vibration, but they will have to push with their whole weight again. So for this, it's not so good. And also, the sound wave it's not really comfortable to have those showers. Usually, that's what we get in shops, but it's like a shower. It's not that comfortable. Here, it really comes like this. I can maybe speak a bit about the wave. It's like a musical instrument emits a plain wave, which is like a bath. Or if I let a stone in water, the waves will go everywhere. Whereas a standard loudspeaker, it's like a shower. And the drops are emitted very strong. That means if I put my ear there, it will damage my ear. But very shortly after, they will fall down. So it's another nature, it's another type of music. This is why you have this feeling of being in a musical bath. Mm-hmm. Have you other questions? If not, I would say we will listen afterwards.
The next question was, are we going to get fed?
Yeah.
I have to say, I hope you've all enjoyed that, and it's the connection between what Celine is stood here talking about of her wood and a connection to the watches. So many connections within that, which I think are important. And the watches we've got tonight are exceptionally rare and special. The pocket watch, which only Stuart, I think, will allow Helen to handle it. But I don't handle it, I have to say that, because my clumsy fingers, well, I don't want it going back to Breguet with me having done anything. So we have a tourbillon repeater regulator, which is the mere sum of £796,000. So the first of you who want to buy it, you're more than welcome to it. It's ready and available tonight. So that is here for tonight. And we have some other exceptional watches that make music. And I have to say there's one particular ladies' one, which is a Passage of Time, as it's called, which is, funny enough, my favourite out of all of the ones tonight. There's some far more complicated ones. But it's such a pretty watch, and it so balances it. There's two small gongs at the top of it, and a little diamond, and the little diamond disappears. If the little diamond's there, it means it's on. If there's no little diamond there, it means you've turned it off. I always say that to my wife too, love it not so. Anyway, there's that. Seriously, there's two gongs at the top of there, and they are remarkable. It's a beautiful watch, and I think if it can come round of Celine's instruments that she's got, that allow it to amplify the sound, even with all of us talking next door, and all the sound be there, because I'm sure we're going to have some fun and some a chit-chat around the tables. You'll still hear these amazing instruments, because they're instruments. They're not just going to tell the time. They're just miniature instruments which are beautiful and amazing, and I think we're very privileged that Breguet have brought them. And for me, to stand here as a business and still have Breguet as the most senior partner of our watch collection is an especially proud moment, because they are the most important horological instrument in the world. I always say that. I always say Napoleon and Wellington both did their battle with their watches, their Breguet watches, telling them where to be. Thank heavens that Wellington's obviously told better time than Napoleon's, but otherwise we might all be speaking with the same accent as Celine.
Thank you.
In all honesty, it is the most important horological watch, and I hope you enjoy seeing what they bought for us tonight. So with no more ado, we're going to ask Jade to continue, Jude's nearly called it the wrong one, to carry on playing some lovely music for us, which will reverberate through to us, through to the dining room, which is in the room next door tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed.